Tonight on Y News. A massive fire forces the closure of Star City this holiday season. 2 Filipino fishermen were confirmed dead, while one remains missing after a bridge collapsed in Taiwan yesterday. President Rodrigo Duterte to wait for Senate and the DILG's report on the Ninja Cops controversy before deciding whether or not to dismiss PNP Chief General Oscar Albayalde. The Philippine National Police is confident there is no need for a loyalty check among their ranks amid the Ninja Cops issue. And President Rodrigo Duterte arrived in Russia to kick off his week-long visit in the transcontinental country. Good evening. Fire engulfed the Star City complex earlier today, turning the 28-year-old facility into a ghost town. Although the fire was massive, no casualties have been reported. According to its management, the famous amusement park will be closed for the holidays. John Ano will tell us why.
The Bureau of Fire Protection have assessed that 80 to 90% of the Star City compound in Pasay City was raised by fire. Based on initial investigation, the fire started from a room inside of one of the park's highlights attraction, the Snow World, at the back section of the complex.
Under investigation ito, but as alleged, ito ay nagsimula sa stock room ng Star Games ng Star City, kung saan nandoon yung mga tela, andun yung mga stop toys at yung mga light materials.
According to the BFP, the structure was made of light materials, so the fire quickly spread, reaching Task Force Bravo. The fire raged for at least 14 hours, destroying, if not reducing to ashes, some of Star City's beloved indoor tourist rides and attractions. Investigators are looking at arson and electrical trouble as possible causes of the fire. The incident, which began at around 12:30 a.m., also damaged a portion of the adjacent Manila Broadcasting Company or MBC and Elio Theater. The Star City management sadly announced today that because of the incident, the theme park will remain closed throughout the holiday season. They are also looking for ways on how to help their employees.
There's not much we can do because they don't have things to do, so we'll probably see how we can financially assist them. But most employees of Star City are seasonal, so this means to say that they have no employment as of this season.
Malacanang, for its part, calls on government agencies to assist the victims of the blaze in any way possible. The palace also expresses grief over the fire that ripped through the popular theme park and the embassy building. According to the Star City management, up to 80,000 revelers go to the entertainment park during peak seasons, such as the Yuletide holiday on weekdays. During off-peak seasons, around 5,000 people visit Star City daily and 20,000 on weekends. Joan Ano, UNTV News and Rescue.
2 Filipino fishermen were confirmed dead after a 140-meter bridge collapsed in eastern Taiwan yesterday. According to the Department of Labor and Employment, they are now working with the families of the victims in repatriating the remains of the fishermen. Amiel Pascual has this report.
The remains of 2 Filipino fishermen were finally recovered today after they went missing when the 140-meter Nanfang-ao Bridge collapsed over them in Ilan, Taiwan yesterday. The 2 Filipinos were identified as Andre Abrigana Serencio and George Hagmis Impang. Meanwhile, search and rescue operations are still ongoing on the site as 1 Filipino fisherman identified as Romulo Ilustrisimo Escalicas Jr. remained missing. Rolly Francia, the Information and Public Service Director of the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE, assures they will assist in the repatriation of the remains of the Filipino casualties and to proceed all benefits and entitlements arising from the accident. Francia noted that Impang's next of kin will receive all benefits as he is an active member of the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA. Serencio, however, has no active record of membership since 2017. According to the Ilan Fire Bureau, the bodies of Impang and Serencio were among the missing fishermen in the tragedy. The other 3 recovered bodies were those of the 3 Indonesian fishermen, Wartono, Ersona, and Dumiri, according to authorities. 9 other fishermen were injured in the incident, including 5 Filipinos, who according to Dole were all brought to Poay Hospital and Kongmin Hospital in Ilan County. The 5 Filipino fishermen are now safe.
Madala kami ng mga tao doon, no? Both sa MECO at saka sa OWA, yung welfare officer natin na doon, para nga matulungan itong mga kababayan natin. At pinausap din yung mga people, yung mga ahente nito mga to, para masigurado sa
Meanwhile, the Taiwan government has set up a task force to investigate the incident, with President Tsai Ing-wen vowing not to evade responsibilities. Miel Pascual, UNTV News and Rescue, Taiwan.
Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon urges Philippine National Police Chief General Oscar Albayalde to consider resigning amid the controversy of the so-called ninja cops. Nel Maribohok details why.
Senator Richard Gordon is not content with the explanation of PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde yesterday on the issue of the ninja cops allegedly responsible for recycling illegal drugs in 2013. According to the senator, General Albayalde should consider resigning ahead of his retirement next month.
Pag hindi niya mapaliwanag yan, he should really consider resigning. Kaliwat kanan Meron pa yung queen, drug queen, nakatakas.
Senator Gordon said before the Senate hearing there was a meeting between him, Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency Chief Director General Aaron Aquino, and Senator Franklin Drilon. During the said meeting, Aquino told them about the alleged intervention of Albayalde in the dismissal of Pampanga Ninja Cops 6 years ago when Albayalde was the Central Luzon Police Chief.
Kasama ko si Senator Drilon nung sinabi niya yan. Tinawagan siya ni Albayalde para itigil yung wag na niyang pirmahan yung report.
Senator Drilon confirmed such meeting transpired.
Nakiusap na huwag muna i-implement is something in substance that I remember to be the narration of General Aquino of his conversation over the telephone with General Albayalde.
Senator Drilon observed the change in Aquino's tone from that meeting to the Senate hearing. For Senate President Vicente Sotto III, he sees no problem with Albayalde as PNP chief.
In the course of his incumbency, wala namang ganung issue at wala namang masamang issue. Wala namang masamang tinapay tayong nakita kay Director General Albayalde.
PNP Chief Albayalde has defended himself against the alleged influence in the case of the Ninja Cops. He said he just asked the status of the case as requested by the families of the cops involved. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
President Rodrigo Duterte will wait for the result of the DILG's probe on the so-called ninja cops. The president admits there are corrupt policemen, but he says he still trusts the PNP. Rosalie Cos reports why.
President Rodrigo Duterte lets Interior Secretary Eduardo Año investigate on the so-called ninja cops or policemen involved in the recycling of confiscated illegal drugs. The president will also let the Senate wrap up its investigations regarding this, including the allegations of involvement of Philippine National Police Chief General Oscar Albayalde.
So the most proper thing to do, which is in line with procedural due process, is to await for the closure of the investigation by the Senate, and when it is forwarded to me, since it is under, the police is under DILG, it's a bureau under Secretary Año, so I will forward it to him, give him a specific period to complete his investigation.
The chief executive also said there should be enough basis and evidence before he takes his action.
If it comes to a serious thing as dismissing the top official here and there, it has to be for a good reason, and there must be enough proof.
The president admits they're corrupt policemen. However, he still trusts the PNP.
Alam mo, ang PNP is not that bad. By and large, we have a very good PNP working for our country. Yung Skyway dyan sa yung Ninja Cups, have been there in Manila, one or two in Davao, and everywhere.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV, News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The DILG will start to probe the so-called Ninja Cops and the allegations of illegal drug recycling. The office promised to have impartial actions on the matter. Ray Pelayo reports why.
We will do a thorough and fair investigation insofar as the Chief of the Philippine National Police is concerned.
This is the response of the Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG concerning the directive of President Rodrigo Duterte to investigate Ninja Cops and accusations of drug recycling. DILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya says they will use the evidence brought out during the Senate hearing on the matter.
Importante kasi ito kasi these were done under oath.
Malaya adds they will review the 2013 incident and compare it with the accounts during the Senate hearing as well as the action taken by the Philippine National Police in the previous administration. The DILG will wait for further instructions from Secretary Eduardo Año, who is with President Duterte in Russia at this time. Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Philippine National Police does not need to conduct a loyalty check among its ranks after the Senate probe in the Agaw Bato incident. The PNP remains firm and completely supports their leadership. April Senadoza tells us why.
Buong hanay ng Philippine National Police ay buo pa rin na nakasuporta sa pamunuan ng PNP at katulad ng dati, tayo po ay nakatingin sa Pangulo lamang bilang ating Commander-in-Chief.
PNP spokesperson Brigadier General Bernard Banac says the PNP remains firm and completely support the PNP leadership. This, although some policemen, he says, are saddened by the allegations against their PNP chief. In an ambush interview yesterday, retired Brigadier General Manuel Gerlan said he didn't see any evidence that would link General Albayalde in the 2013 operation in Pampanga. Gerlan was the Deputy Regional Director for Operations of the PNP Central Luzon when the incident happened.
I have found no derogatory information, no evidence or testimony linking General Albayalde during that time.
The PNP official refused to comment should the Department of Justice include Albayalde in its resolution on the case.
Well, igagalang natin anumang resolution na ilalabas ng Department of Justice at inasahan natin na ito na yung magiging final decision tungkol dun sa kaso ng 13. At sa ngayon naman ay inaantabayan na natin kung anong magiging status nito.
April Senadoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
As the country's top cop, Police General Oscar Albayalde is set to retire on November 8. Allegations are still being thrown against him. But what are his important accomplishments and what are the issues surrounding him now? Find out as April Senadoza reports.
PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde did not expect President Rodrigo Duterte to pick him to lead the country's police force. Albayalde has been known for his strict leadership as the former chief of the National Capital Regional Office or NCRPO, as he warned Manila City cops who were sleeping while on duty. Under the leadership of former PNP chief and now Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Albayalde was the executive officer of the Directorate for Plans in Camp Crame. Albayalde then intensified PNP's internal cleansing program, centering on errant cops involved in illegal drugs. He also activated the Integrated Monitoring and Enforcement Group, or IMEG, formerly known as the Counterintelligence Task Force, to hold errant cops accountable. Based on data from the PNP IMEG from February 2017 to September 11, 2019, there are over 200 PNP personnel facing criminal complaints due to various illegal activities.
Bago ko nag-retire, we saw to it that we institutionalize our Patrol Plan 2030, yung aming internal cleansing program, yung aming internal discipline sa Philippine National Police, and all other operational trust namin, no? So that meron ng magiging guide yung susunod.
However, despite his accomplishments in the PNP and as his retirement draws near, Albayalde is still facing controversies, such as his alleged intervention in the case of several Pampanga cops allegedly involved in drug recycling in 2013. Albayalde argues former PNP CIDG Director and now Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong's statements are personal in connection with the allegations being thrown against him.
That I cannot answer that by now. No, hindi ko alam kung anong sama ng loob niyang tao niya sa akin. I really don't know. No, parang lumalabas kasi he's trying to show na ngayon ba lumabas itong mga ninja cops. Remember, kailan ba lumabas yung mga ninja cops na yan? It is during their time when he was the director of the CIDG.
It is expected that the next PNP chief will encounter a big problem due to the issue on alleged ninja cops. The challenge to the PNP remains to eradicate illegal drugs properly under the Duterte administration. April Senedoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up to where Angelo Castro III left off. I'm Alex Baltazar, and here are the headlines. Motorists experienced an 8-kilometer long traffic today in the South Luzon Expressway due to the ongoing Skyway extension project. Quezon City Traffic Chief Attorney Ariel Inton faces administrative and carnapping case after breaking a window of a parked car during a clearing operation. The Philippine Coast Guard rescues a 53-year-old man who jumped off a passenger ship in Sibuyan. President Rodrigo Duterte arrives in Russia to kick off his week-long visit in the country upon the invitation of President Vladimir Putin. And find out what you can customize on a motorcycle that is approved by the Land Transportation Office. Good evening. The ongoing construction of the 5-kilometer Skyway extension project has affected the flow of vehicles on the highway. Motorists needed patience today with an 8-kilometer long queue of vehicles. Sherwin Kulubong tells us why.
At past 9 a.m. today, we plied the northbound lane of South Luzon Expressway from the Calambatol Plaza to Sucat exit in Muntinlupa City. While approaching Susana Heights, heavy traffic began. The queue of vehicles was 8 kilometers long from Susana Heights to Barangay Kupang, Muntinlupa City. One lane of the road has been closed as posts of the 5-kilometer Skyway extension project are being installed. The ongoing constructions test motorist patience, but some say they understand situation.
Matindi yan sir, matindi. Sa buong Metro Manila talagang matindi ang traffic eh. Wala natin magagawa, ewan ko lang, mayroon pang solusyon dyan.
Sana lagi lang may counterflow para maluwag ang mabilis ang daloy ng trapiko. Di baling matraffic basta umuusad. Kaysa matraffic na nakahinto, lalong matagal.
May istorbo talaga dyan. But pagka naitayo namin lahat yung poste namin doon, yung poste lang naman ang problema. No? Kasi eventually, pagka naitayo namin yung lahat ng poste, sa itaas na kami gumagawa, hindi naman may istorbo na yung dating traffic. Siguro yung first quarter ng 2020, nasa itaas na kami gumagawa ngayon. Tapos na kami lahat sa mga pilote namin.
Some 370,000 vehicles fly SLEX every day. The Skyway project in SLEX is expected to be completed in December 2020. Sherwin Kulubong, UNTV News and Rescue, Muntinlupa City.
Transport-related government agencies are expected to formulate a traffic management plan amid the ongoing South Luzon Expressway and Skyway project. The lower house Transportation Committee compels them to do so. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
Motorists who ply the South Luzon Expressway today experienced heavy traffic. The third lane of SLEX was closed due to the ongoing Skyway project. It took motorists 4 hours to reach Makati City from San Pedro, Laguna. Muntinlupa City residents also experienced inconveniences.
There was not enough lead time for them to be informed, for us to come up with the management plan. Ngayon, from Alabang all the way to Tunasan, daily, bogged down.
House Committee on Transportation Chairman Edgar Sarmiento compels the MMDA and the DILG to formulate a traffic management plan to solve such traffic problem.
Isang taon po mahigit itong project nila. Ngayon ay we are only October of 2019. Matatapos po yan December of 2020. Kung iisipin niyo po, arawan na arawan, ganyan po ang ibibigay natin sa tao, napakahirap.
Skyway O&M Corporation or SOMCO, the company managing the construction of the Skyway project, has earlier said once the stage 3 of the project is completed by November, traffic flow will be better by December. SOMCO also gave an apology to the public for failing to advise motorists about the construction earlier. Sarmiento expects the agencies to present their Skyway traffic management plan by Thursday during the next committee hearing. The MMDA said they will talk with other concerned agencies and with SOMCO about the traffic management plan. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The Department of Energy wants oil companies to explain the retail prices they will implement for the gas and diesel price rollback on Monday. The DOE has sent a show-cause order to all oil companies in the country. Energy Assistant Secretary Leonido Pulido said the retail prices implemented are different from the department's computations. The DOE also wants liquefied petroleum gas or LPG importers and suppliers to explain on the retail prices which are higher than those in the world market.
Mas mababa po yung rollback nila by about 22 cents for gasoline and about 0.06 cents for diesel. And we want them to explain it. Hindi naman po namin sinasabi na mali sila, but we want to give them the opportunity to explain to us bakit po ganon.
Quezon City Traffic Chief Attorney Ariel Inton might face administrative and carnapping complaints. This after he broke the window of an illegally parked vehicle during a clearing operation last September 24. Meanwhile, Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte denies Inton has resigned because of the incident. Joan Nano tells us why.
QC Traffic Chief Attorney Ariel Inton is ready to face the cases filed by the owner of a 1990 Nissan Maxima, the window of which was smashed by him last September 24. The said vehicle has reportedly been illegally parked in Panay Avenue for 2 years.
Kung sasampahan na tayo ng carnapping, edi tingnan natin. Yan kung sino man yung mga abogadong hawak niyan, palagi ko naman malalaman din niya, alam niya bilang abogado na walang carnapping doon.
Inton has earlier apologized for his act and admitted his fault. He has filed his resignation, but Mayor Joy Belmonte rejected a Facebook post of the QC Task Force for Transport and Traffic Management states that Mayor Belmonte did not accept Inton's resignation and instead urges other local officials to follow Inton's leadership. Inton has previously insisted he only bases action on a 2004 city ordinance that states local officials have the power to confiscate illegally parked vehicles on public roads and spaces.
As I said, I will take the responsibility at never naman natin tatakasan yan. Haharapin natin yan. At sa tingin ko naman, sa pagharap natin dyan, makikita naman kung ano yung katotohanan dyan.
Joanna, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
For the Quezon City Department of Public Order and Safety, or DPOS, their duty does not end in demolishing structures that block the sidewalk. Today, they returned to the building of a religious group, the pillars of which had been removed. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
The sidewalk beside a religious group's building in Cubao, Quezon City will be wider once the debris of demolished concrete posts are removed. Depots had to return to the structure several times to do the demolition of the concrete posts as they are thick and huge. The group says their obligation doesn't end there as long as the sidewalk is not totally clean and passable. The religious group's administration also self-dismantled the roof and steel materials attached to the pillars.
Hindi namin tinitigilan hanggang hindi namin makita yung kalsada. At hindi lamang yun, kailangan makita natin yung visible from the other to the other side. Kaya ito nakikita na natin.
Depots calls on the public to be disciplined and have more patience as these are all parts of the government's project to return the public roads and spaces to their proper use.
Hindi lamang sa kayusan ng mga ilan, kundi sa kayusan ng lahat. Kaya nga ngayon makikita na natin sa mga area ng Quezon City, passable na ang ating sidewalk. At nakikita na rin natin yung reliable compliance to 100%. Kaya patuloy pa rin kami.
In Aray at Cubao, roads that used to be congested with sidewalk vendors and illegal jeepney terminals are now clear. Depots assures when sidewalks become obstruction-free, people will be safer from accidents. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Philippine National Police reports that crimes committed in Metro Manila from 2016 are less than those committed in 2013 to 2016 under the Aquino administration. The police believe the downward trend will continue. Leia Ilagan details why.
The National Capital Region Police Office, or NCRPO, confirms that crimes that happened during the Duterte administration went down by 62% from July 2016 to September 26, 2019. This is compared with those committed and reported from April 2013 to June 2016 during the Aquino administration. NCRPO Director, Police Major General Guillermo Eleazar says 49,835 crimes were committed from July 2016 to September 26, 2019. This number is lower by 82,004 or 62% of 131,839 crimes recorded during the Aquino administration. However, the number of murder cases went up by 60% during the first year of Duterte administration because of the government's intensified campaigns against illegal drugs. From 2,682 murder cases under former President Aquino's watch, it rose to 4,295 in the first year of President Duterte in office.
Na dahil lang sa ating campaign against illegal drugs, ito yung mga purging natin tinatawag. Mga sindikatong nagpapatayan dahil they want to silence those who are members of the syndicates. May mga pulis na nagbabaligtaran din. At merong ibang mga involved sa mga scalawags sa pulis na na-find out natin na sila rin pala ang puwapatay ng ibang mga pulis or iba pang mga kasama nila sindikato.
Homicide, physical injury, rape, theft, robbery, motor napping and car napping rates have gone down under the Duterte administration. Eleazar believes that the downward trend of crimes will continue because of the PNP efforts on a campaign against crimes and illegal drugs and the strict implementation of city ordinances.
Kasi sa city ordinances, naiiwasan natin yung mga petty crimes. At pag naiiwasan natin yung mga petty crimes, maiiwasan din yung mga adding serious crimes to happen. So in effect, here in Metro Manila, and I believe for the whole of the Philippines, naging effective yung ating crime prevention.
Eleazar also confirms that crimes during the bare months from 2016 to present are in downward trend. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Philippine Coast Guard rescues a man who jumped off a passenger vessel last Monday. Based on the Coast Guard's initial report, the passenger is experiencing depression. My Bermudez will tell us why.
Authorities have identified the man who jumped off passenger ship MV St. Michael the Archangel as Carlito Cataylo. The 53-year-old rescued passenger, a resident of Balayan, Batangas, was heading for Dumaguete. He leaped from the ship at sea off Coast Gallo Island in Sibuyan. Sea marshals rescued Cataylo when his 60-year-old wife called for help.
Base doon sa report na tanggap namin, medyo parang agitated siya. Nakainom, pero nung tinanong, parang may dinadaanan siyang depression.
The passenger was immediately given medical attention.
Nung rescue naman siya, maayos na siya. Pero of course, he was being observed. At ang recommendation nga namin magpag-undergo ng mga medical examination.
Experts say individuals battling depression must consult a specialist to have their condition examined. It is also important to talk with them and assure them they are not alone in their fight and journey in life. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue.
Malolos City in Bulacan feasted on pork dishes today. The local chief executive said this is to show the situation of the hog industry in the city. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
Over 300 Malolos residents feasted on various pork dishes at the Malolos Public Market in Bulacan around noon today. 12 lechons were also served. Some even took pork cuts to go.
Ang napapansin ko ngayon, tingnan mo napakaraing tao. Samantalang noon, ayaw nila kaming tangkilikin, ayaw nilang bumili. Pero pagka pala libre, ang tao dun yung dumog. Unfair naman sa aming mga magbababoy.
Opo, iba po talaga pag libre, pinagkakaguluhan.
According to Malolos Mayor Bebong Gatchalian, today's Budol fight aims to reflect the situation of the hog industry in the city.
We are taking all the precautionary measures so that ang lahat ng pumapasok na nabibili sa ating pamilihang bayan ay di kalidad at ligtas kainin.
The city veterinary office says it was able to make the necessary steps to prevent the city from African swine fever virus.
Precautionary measure, disinfectant, survey, tsaka po yung iba gusto mag-surrender, dinidepopulate na po natin. Properly disposed po yun at pinamamahala ko po yun.
PNP checkpoints operate round the clock in the city to prevent the entry of hogs that might be carriers of the ASF virus. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Before spending thousands of pesos in modifying a motorcycle, be sure that you are compliant with the law. Find out what the Land Transportation Office says regarding the modification of motorcycles as Mon Hokson reports.
Based on LTO Administrative Order and the Joint Administrative Order of the Department of Transportation, here are the requirements in modifying parts and accessories for a motorcycle. Side mirrors. All motorcycles must have a side mirror, one for each side. These side mirrors will help riders have a clear view of the traffic around them. Headlamps. Headlamps must be white or yellow. A blinker mode of headlamps is prohibited. Brake lamps. All motorcycles must have one brake lamp that lights up when the brake is operational. If the tail lamp also illuminates with the brake lamp must be 5 times brighter. A brake lamp must be red in color. Blinker mode is prohibited. Turn signal lights. The color of turn signal lights must be yellow, amber, or orange only. Fog lamps. Installing a fog lamp is optional. It must be white or yellow in color. Fog lamps must be used only when there is thick fog or heavy rain. Only one front fog lamp is allowed to a motorcycle that is installed under the turn signal. This must have a separate switch aside from the headlamps. Auxiliary headlamps. Every auxiliary headlamp must have a separate switch. It must be yellow or white in color and must not be used when plying well-lit roads. Motorcycles are allowed to be installed with only 2 auxiliary headlamps. The position of auxiliary lamps must not be higher than the handlebar of motorcycles and not be an alternative for the headlamp. The use of LED and HID bulbs are allowed as long as it follows certain conditions. Number plate lights. Every motorcycle must have 2 number plate lights. It must be white in color and illuminates when the headlamp is on. The plate number must be seen clearly, especially at night. Exhaust system. All motorcycles must have a muffler system that consists of a primary muffler or silencer and a secondary muffler. The muffler must be secured and the sound level must not exceed 115 decibels. It's better to be aware of what the law states to avoid inconvenience or be tagged a violator. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
And to complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. The House of Representatives approves on second reading the postponement of the Barangay Ang Sanggunian Kabataan elections to December 5th, 2022. During the deliberation of House Bill 4933, plenary amendments were also introduced and accepted by the House. These include the start of the terms of elected barangay and SK officials for the December 5, 2022 polls to be on January 1st, 2023. Prior to this approval, House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano has said funds intended for the 2020 barangay polls will be realigned to fund the 9.52 billion peso amendment to the 2020 proposed national budget. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte's delegation arrived in Moscow, Russia at 9 this morning, Philippine time. The president is expected to meet with top Russian officials and seal several deals with the Russian government. Rosalie Cos explains why.
President Rodrigo Duterte will have a bilateral meeting with Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev today. The Chief Executive Officer of Rosneft Global Public Oil and Gas Corporation is expected to pay a courtesy call to President Duterte. Russian President Vladimir Putin, Jordanian King Abdullah II, and President Duterte will hold a meeting tomorrow in Sochi City before the Valdai Forum. The Philippine government is expected to push for a bilateral labor agreement for the welfare of the Filipino workers in Russia during the meeting of Presidents Duterte and Putin.
I hope and I believe the President will raise it with President Putin at doon he will, dahil mahalaga ho ang overseas Filipinos kay Presidente, I cannot imagine him not raising it and putting his advocacy behind it.
On Friday, President Duterte will lead the wreath-laying at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers in the Russian capital. He will be given a walking tour in Kremlin Palace. He will also address a Philippine-Russia Business Forum and will watch the Philippine Cultural Gala performance of Bayanihan Dance Company and the Philippine Madrigal Singers. On Saturday, the President will be conferred with honorary doctorate degree by the Moscow State Institute of International Relations University, one of the leading institutions for diplomats in Russia. Before returning to the Philippines, he will meet the Filipino community in Moscow. The President's delegation includes newly appointed Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA Deputy Administrator Mocha Uson.
Nakausap po natin mga OFWs doon dahil maraming undocumented at ang gusto nila ay magkaroon ng bilateral talks between Russia and the Philippines pagdating sa proteksyon ng mga OFW sa Russia.
Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara is appointed the officer in charge for the daily operations of the executive branch while the President is out of the country. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Japanese Coast Guard monitored another missile launch from North Korea, a move which was condemned by Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Nerissa Dando has the details.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo on Wednesday condemned the latest missile launches of North Korea. Japan's Coast Guard monitored 2 missile launches of North Korean around 7 in the morning Tuesday. One of the missiles fell in waters within the Japanese exclusive economic zone of the coast of Dugo in Shimane Prefecture. At this point, no damage on ships or airplanes were reported.
We'll hold National Security Council and we'll discuss about the situation and our measures. We'll continue to cooperate with the international community, especially the US, and we'll take all possible measures to protect the safety of the nationals as we stay on alert.
On several occasions this year, North Korea conducted test fire of its missile arsenal. Kim Jong-un on July 31 oversaw the first test firing of a new type large-caliber multiple-launch guided rocket system as reported by the state media. The North Korean leader also watched another missile launch on August 6, which they said was a warning to the US and South Korea's joint military drills. Nerissa Dando, UNTV News and Rescue, Japan.
In other news, a U.S. federal court has ruled in a long-awaited decision that Harvard University's admissions office does not discriminate against Asian American applicants. Beverly Saison reports.
Harvard University's undergraduate admissions program does not discriminate against Asian American applicants. A federal judge ruled on Tuesday, rejecting a lawsuit brought by opponents of affirmative action policies and backed by the White House. The judge rejected the claim that white, black, and Hispanic applicants were given preference over Asian counterparts with similar grades. District Judge Allison D. Burrows said the court would not dismantle a very fine admissions program. In prior affirmative action cases, the court has allowed colleges to include race as one factor in assessing applicants. The SFFA group that brought the case accused Harvard of going too far by engaging in racial balancing that limited Asian Americans to no more than 20% of its incoming classes. The group, founded by longtime affirmative action opponent Edward Blum, argued that while Asian Americans outperformed other groups on academic measures, stereotyping caused them to receive low scores on subjective personal ratings. Harvard denied that charge, saying that its use of race in admissions was legal and was not a factor in the personal ratings. The U.S. Department of Justice sided with SFFA, saying Harvard had not seriously considered race-neutral approaches to admissions. It has also probed whether another Ivy League school, Yale University, also discriminates against Asian Americans. An appeal of the decision could eventually reach the U.S. Supreme Court and give its 5-member conservative majority a chance to bar or more strictly limit the use of affirmative action to help minority applicants get into college. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Nigerian police have freed pregnant women from properties in Lagos which they describe as baby factories. Kath Dumaraos explains why.
Police in Nigeria's biggest city, Lagos, announced on Monday that they had freed 19 women and girls from captivity. They say they suspect most of them were abducted and impregnated by captors planning to sell their babies. The girls and women, aged from 15 to 28, were brought from all over Nigeria with promises of work as domestic staff, officers said. 4 babies were also found. A spokesman for the police, Bala Elkanah, said male children were sold by the traffickers for $1,630 each, with girls being sold for $980.
We got 2 suspects arrested, and we are still looking for one.
Baby factories, as such premises are widely known, are most common in parts of eastern Nigeria. One of the freed women, who did not want to be named, said she had been impregnated by her boyfriend and told by her aunt that there was a job for her in Lagos. She said a woman to whom she was introduced to had induced labor when she was 7 months pregnant. Her baby died shortly after.
The woman checked me, now put medicine in my private parts. Surgery, neighbor started to do me. The baby is 7 months. I was in the labor complete 3 days. I did not deliver. Police people come and arrest us that we are the people that born and selling children.
Elkanah said the State Criminal Investigation Department would take over the case and was working with other agencies to resettle the women, girls, and their babies. Last week, around 400 boys and men, some as young as 5 and many in chains and scarred from beatings, were rescued from a building in the northern city of Kaduna that purported to be an Islamic school. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
And for the 6th year in a row, the number of migrants who have died in the Mediterranean Sea has eclipsed the 1,000 mark, according to the International Organization for Migration. Meanwhile, heavy rains have killed more than 100 people in India in the past few days after a monsoon delivered 10% more rain than a 50-year average. Jovic Burmas has the details.
In India, relief and rescue was underway on Tuesday in India's Patna, the capital of northern Bihar state, following heavy floods. Residents are being supplied with essentials through helicopter drops and rafts. In neighboring Uttar Pradesh, India's most populous state, heavy rains have brought down more than 800 homes and swathes of farmland are submerged. The heaviest monsoon rains to lash India in 25 years have killed more than 1,600 people since June, government data showed on Tuesday. In Mexico, Mexican first responders came to the rescue of several people stranded in a field in Mexico's Pacific Coast state of Jalisco, which was inundated by rains Monday from tropical storm Narda. Hovering from a helicopter, the first responders rappelled down into the murky floodwaters to pull the survivors to safety. Narda made its landfall over Oaxaca State on Saturday and strengthened to a tropical storm as it moved northwest. Although it had dissipated by Tuesday morning, much of Mexico's Pacific coast is still seeing the effects of flooding from the heavy rains dumped by the one-time tropical storm. In Switzerland, more than 1,000 migrants have died in the Mediterranean Sea this year, the sixth year in a row that bleak milestone has been reached, the United Nations Refugee Agency said on Tuesday. UNHCR spokeswoman Liz Throssell said that fewer migrants had attempted the perilous journey across the Mediterranean, with over 63,000 in 2019 compared to 141,472 in 2018, adding that the numbers show that the journeys themselves are much more dangerous. More than 18,000 people have lost their lives in Mediterranean crossings since 2014, according to figures from both the UNHCR and the website of the UN's International Organization for Migration. Jovic Bermas, UNTV News and Rescue.
Top gymnasts such as Simone Biles and Aliyah Mustafina may have new competition on the floor in the form of a robot called Atlas. US-based engineering and robotics firm Boston Dynamics says its humanoid creation uses its legs, arms, and torso to complete a number of gymnastic maneuvers that mirror a normal athlete's routine. The company says it developed the routine much faster than previous efforts, utilizing a new optimization algorithm to translate descriptions of each move into motions, while tracking technology on board Atlas itself allows the robot to smoothly blend maneuvers together. Atlas achieves its feats thanks to its lightweight 3D printed parts, which give it the necessary strength to weight ratio to move with agility and precision. The desire to avoid the monotony of adult life has led one man to ditch housing and employment and spend his days walking every block of New York City. Nina Armilio has the story.
This is the Kosciuszko Bridge, or the Kosciuszko Bridge, as a real New Yorker would call it. And this is a new pathway that just opened a couple weeks ago. And so I already walked the neighborhood around here, but I had to come back to walk this new path now that it's open.
After 8 years and more than 9,000 miles, Matt Green is just a few hundred miles short of his ultimate goal: to walk every block of every street in the 5 boroughs of New York City. A former engineer, Green has no apartment and no job. He finds shelter mostly by couch surfing, occasionally earning longer stays when caring for homeowners' cats and plants while they are away. He makes a little money through donations to his blog, from leading walks, and from public speaking. When necessary, he dips into the savings left over from his previous life.
This idea that, so much of life is boring and we're just trying to get through it, get through this and get through that so we can get to the few fun things we have to do in life, I think is just a matter of having a bad outlook.
Green's story took a twist in 2014 when a filmmaker asked Matt if he could join one day for a stroll. That footage became a documentary, The World Before Your Feet, which premiered at South by Southwest last November and has been screening across the country ever since. The film has garnered critical acclaim. But why is he doing it? For Green, the answer is not so simple.
Yeah, I don't really know why I'm doing this. I think a lot of times we kind of put too much pressure on ourselves to come up with a nice, easily explainable reason for what we want to do in life.
Green estimates his walk is over 95% complete and that he'll finish the remaining few hundred miles in the coming year or two. True to form, however, he's not holding himself to a deadline. Well, he's just walking. Nina Emilio, UNTV News and Rescue.
A heart-stopping video shows a first-time paragliding Danish tourist and her pilot making a harrowing emergency landing. They ran into trouble when the main rope of their parachute snapped in mid-air last Friday. The pilot and the 70-year-old Danish tourist landed into the sea with their emergency parachute and plunged into the water. The pilot said the tourist remained calm during the incident and followed his instructions as he steered them into the sea. He said the video was recovered 2 days after the incident and will be shown to would-be pilots at training courses. The Danish tourist, according to Osden, seemed unfazed by the dramatic descent, vowing to come back next year for more paragliding. And those are the reasons behind the news this October 2nd, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo, and before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
Under investigation ito, but as alleged, ito ay nagsimula sa stock room ng Star Games ng Star City kung saan nandun yung mga tela, nandun yung mga stop toys at yung mga light materials.
Pag hindi niya mapaliwanag yan, he should really consider resigning.
If it comes to a serious thing as dismissing a top official here and there, it has to be for a good reason and there must be enough proof.
Kung sasampahan na tayo ng carnapping, edi tingnan natin. Yan kung sino man yung mga abogadong hawak niyan, palagay ko naman malalaman din niya, alam niya bilang abogado na walang carnapping doon.
Ang napapansin ko ngayon, tingnan mo napakaraing tao. Samantalang noon, ayaw nila kaming tangkilikin, ayaw nilang bumili. Pero pagka pala libre, ang tao dun yung dumog. Unfair naman sa aming mga magbababoy.
Opo, iba po talaga pag libre, pinagkakaguluhan.